Hello everyone, and welcome to Ariana's Food Adventures. This adventure we are celebrating 4th of July by making a delicious and light, airy angel food cake, along with homemade whipped cream. Yum! But let's not waste some more time. Let's get cooking, shall we? Alright, so before I preheat my oven, I got my top rack right here in the middle. Preheat our oven to 375. Alright, first step for angel food cake, I'm going to measure out 181 grams of sugar. So we're going to set this aside for the moment. Alright, so for our dry ingredients, I have 1 cup of cake flour, 181 grams of sugar. So we're going to take our bowl here, sifter right here, just dump the cake flour right in there, and just sift it all together till it's completely sifted through. And same thing with the sugar, and get that a sift as well. Alright, we're going to set this aside for the moment. Alright, so I got some gadgets and gizmos, and just to show you, so I have a liquid measuring cup here, and then I also have a wine glass, and then my little handy dandy little egg separator. It's great because it separates the yolk from the white. And you're probably wondering, why do I have a wine glass when I'm just going to put all my egg whites in here? Well, no pun intended, but I don't want you to put all your eggs in one basket. Let's say you get all your egg whites, but you end up with a yolk, then you'd start all over again. Because the thing is, with angel food cake, you want only egg whites. So this is great. So let's say that you're separating your eggs in here and you end up getting a yolk. It's only in here, not your main batch. So it's just a little trick. It takes a little more time, but I promise you it is worth it. Alright, so start with, just tap your eggs on the counter just like that. Just put it right in through that strainer. You may have to kind of give it a little shimmy shake just to kind of loosen the egg whites a little bit from the yolk, but look how easy that was. Alright, so we're going to take our 1/2 cups of egg whites into a bowl, and we're going to beat this on about low speed until it gets nice and frothy. Alright, so when you see bubbles forming on top, that's what I mean by foamy. So at this point, this is where we're at our flavoring and stability. So for flavor, can't have angel food cake without vanilla extract. And this is a wonderful addition because it adds a wonderful flavor to the cake. So 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And for stability, 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar. This is what stabilizes the egg whites. Alright, we're going to beat this until it's almost to stiff peaks, but not quite yet. You'll see why. Alright, so that sugar from earlier, what we're going to do is add a tablespoon at a time, and we're going to slowly incorporate that, but we don't want to do it all at once because we don't want to deflate those beautiful egg whites. Just a tablespoon at a time, give it some time to stir, and then you can add the next batch. Alright, so I added all the sugar. What I'm going to do now is going to beat this until it gets to stiff peaks. Not sure what that means? No problem. Alright, so what I mean by stiff peaks, see how like it holds its shape and when I jiggle it, it's not doing anything, it's like holding its shape? That's exactly what you want, folks. Alright, so remember our dry ingredients from earlier? What we're going to do is we're going to put it back in the sifter, and it seems like redundant, but you want to make sure everything is light and airy, so you just want to make sure you sift it, and we're going to do this basically in thirds. Once you get that incorporated, then you're going to take a little spatula and you're just going to fold it in because we don't want to ruin those beautiful egg whites. We want to make sure it stays light and airy. But we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Give that a final fold. Just incorporate the cake flour along with the sugar and the salt. Alright, so before I put my angel food cake in, I just want to show you the pan I'm using. This is referred as a tube pan, and it's great. You do not need to grease it just because the angel food cake won't come out the same way if you were to grease it. Just make sure it's kind of evenly distributed all around the sides of it. Alright, I'm just smoothing it out with the back of my spatula. Alright, so we're going to pop this in the oven. We're going to cook it for about 30-35 minutes until it's nice and golden brown. Alright, so while our angel food cake is cooking, I got a small stainless steel bowl. I'm going to pop this in the freezer for at least 15 minutes for our whipped cream. And you're probably wondering, why stick a bowl in the freezer? Fun little hack. If you have a nice cold bowl, it will actually whip your whipped cream much faster and it actually holds its shape better too. Alright, so our stainless bowl is out of the freezer, so we're going to add 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Alright, and we're going to whisk this until it gets a little stiff. Alright, so our whipped cream got a little thick, so I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And I love vanilla and homemade whipped cream. It just makes it taste so much better. You could use vanilla extract, or if you have vanilla beans, certainly can use either one. So a little splash of vanilla, and we're going to beat this until it's stiff peaks, just like the angel food cake. Alright, so when you see the whipped cream pulling away from the bowl, then you know it's ready. And look at that, it's holding shape just like the angel food cake does. So we're going to put this in the fridge, and we're just going to keep this chilled until the angel food cake is ready. Alright, do you smell what I smell? And look at that beautiful golden brown color. But what we're going to do is just flip it upside down, and we're gonna let it cool upside down for 1 hour. All right, so this has been cooling for 1 hour, so you're gonna flip it back upside right. Take a knife and just run it through the back side of it just to kind of loosen the angel food cake. All right, then you have to run your knife and kind of do underneath as well. Cooling rack, and dump the angel food cake just like that. We're gonna take a small little piece, plate it up with our homemade whipped cream. Alright, so I got a slice of our angel food cake, and to that I'm just gonna add a nice swirl of our homemade whipped cream, just like that. Strawberry half, because you can't have some angel food cake without some fruit, right? And there you have it, folks. My homemade angel food cake. Super easy, super yummy, and perfect for a 4th of July party, or just for a nice summer dessert. I will see you on my next adventure. Enjoy!